We heard from John Lynch yesterday, but as you know, it was Kyle Shanahan's turn to stand in front of the media and answer questions and also get his first initial reaction to the whole Brandon Aiyuk situation. But before we get into that, there are also a ton of other things that have been discussed, such as coaching, such as other players on the teams, and potentially adding some additional help at key spots. So let's start right here. As we know, the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan made a big time coaching change right after the Super Bowl. They let go Steve Wilkes, and as a result of that, they promoted Sorensen from within to take over as the 49ers defensive play caller. One of the things that we heard about all offseason and prior to the Steve Wilkes move was the 49ers wanting to maintain continuity within scheme and also personnel being part of that issue as well. So an internal hire makes a lot of sense. Kyle Shanahan spoke to this thought. He said that Sorensen showed signs of being ready last year to do this job, but believes fully in his ability to do the job now, said he's ready to go. Also, Brandon Staley, that was a big emphasis of this signing as well because it was kind of a package deal. At least that's kind of what it felt like. Because when it was announced that Sorensen was going to take over as DC, it was also announced that Brandon Staley was going to come on in a big role. Now, we don't know what that exact role is defined to be, but it does feel like a co-defensive coordinator situation where Kyle Shanahan said that he will be a big part of the game plan. And he's also said that Brandon Staley has been a huge part of free agency so far and alludes to him being a big part of the draft coming up. So this is interesting. He does say Sorensen again will call the plays, but Staley has a big role on this defense as well and is already making his value known. So I find that to be a pretty interesting development amongst the coaching situation. Also, we found out the 49ers hired Mick Lombardi, who is a former offensive coordinator for the Raiders last year, got fired with that whole debacle mid-season with the Raiders. Comes over to the 49ers. No official title, but Kyle Shanahan does say he's expected to fill the Clint Kubiak role, which is basically the pass game coordinator. Now, again, no official title, but that is the expectation and how he sees that whole situation working out. One of the things that Kyle Shanahan also talked about was how excited he was for Brock Purdy to finally get his first full offseason as a San Francisco 49ers quarterback starter without rehabilitation, without any of those different types of things. So I think that is a big positive. And I really do believe that heading into this year, this is Brock's job. It's not up for debate. It's not up for question. It's not up for speculation. Because I do think that was warranted last year with the 49ers bringing in Sam Darnold and having Trey Lance on the roster. I think that speculation was warranted, even if it might not have been accurate. However, the 49ers heading into this offseason, Brock is QB1, and it's not up for debate. You can go argue with the wall if you think Josh Dobbs is going to come in here and supplant Brock Purdy in training camp. And I love the Josh Dobbs signing. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Kyle Shanahan also talked about the Joshua Dobbs signing, pointing to when he watched him with Arizona, especially in the game that they played the 49ers, the command, the competitiveness, the cerebralness, and again, I've talked about it a million times. I was so surprised by how well Josh Dobbs played against the 49ers. He probably threw out of 5 to 6 Nick Bosa sacks. That's how impressive he was at getting the ball out on time with accuracy. And he made the 49ers pay. Even though the 49ers won that game, he really did show some stuff. But heading into this offseason, Brock Purdy, unquestioned, quarterback 1, Dobbs backup, and Brandon Allen and Dobbs can battle it out for QB2. But it would be hard to think that Dobbs wouldn't win the QB2 spot to back up Brock as the primary backup. So Brock, quarterback 1, not up for debate. And it does feel nice heading into an offseason where we don't have to worry about Brock Purdy, but we do have to worry about some situations that are developing around Brandon Aiyuk, um, 49ers star wide receiver, second team all pro season that he is coming off of. You already know the numbers. You already know how spectacular Brandon Aiyuk was last year and how he did it on limited targets and just really played at an extremely efficient level. One of the highest efficiency levels in the entire NFL from the wide receiver position. But this was the first time that we got to hear from Kyle Shanahan react to this Brandon Aiyuk situation and all those different types of things. And I thought there was a funny little nugget that came out of this situation was we know that Kyle Shanahan loves going to Cabo after the season. It's been an ongoing thing where even the players go and their families go, and it's this whole big thing, right? And it was funny because Brandon Ayuk was just in Cabo as well, celebrating his 26th birthday with all his crew and all his family and all those different types of things. And Kyle Shanahan said that they ran into each other at, I believe it was Kyle's hotel. Kyle said, quote, he was randomly at our hotel, and I don't think he wanted to be. Thought that was hilarious. I thought that was the most like Kyle Shanahan like quote. Like, yeah, we ran into Brandon. I don't think he wanted to be there though. And but anyways, so that was funny that throughout this whole situation, they've actually like bumped into each other in person. And Kyle Shanahan goes on to kind of discuss the situation with Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, the 49ers are in no rush because they don't have to be. And so they're going to let this situation play out. And I think if there's anything that we've come to learn from this is that they want Brandon Ayuk back. They want to sign him. They want him to be on the team. Now, is that at the amount that Brandon wants? Is that does it jive with what Brandon's looking for? That's a different conversation. But from Kyle Shanahan's perspective, they want him back. And he said, quote, hopefully we'll get this done sooner than later. So they want to get him paid. They want to keep him as a 49er. I mean, why wouldn't you? You have an ascending young player like Brandon Aiyuk, who's built a phenomenal rapport with Brock Purdy. And Kyle also spoke about that as well. So the way that I'm looking at it is, of course, Kyle's going to want to keep Brandon Ayuk around. I mean, if you can keep Brandon Ayuk on the fifth-year option and pay him $14 million for another potentially all-pro season, that is a steal. That is a steal from the 49ers perspective. Does Brandon Ayuk want to come out here and play on the $14 million deal while Jerry Jeudy is getting paid $19 million? No, he does not. And that is where this issue lies, is the 49ers have the patience and the control in this situation because he is under a fifth-year option. They also have future franchise tags that they could use. And Brandon Ayuk's looking at this thing like, Jerry Jeudy just got paid $19 million, guys. Come on, man. Can we do something here? And so we'll see what happens from that. Kyle Shanahan also went on to say that his relationship with Brandon hasn't strained so far. So he seems to indicate that it's fine, but he also, by saying that, opens up the possibility that it could strain. So we'll see how that again continues to play out. Again, I see no scenario where the 49ers want to move on from Brandon Ayuk, but I also see a scenario where Brandon Ayuk absolutely does not even want to think about playing on the fifth-year option. To me, that's not an option for Brandon Ayuk, and I think that's where we're kind of seeing this impasse kind of bubble up on social media, because right after John Lynch said that the 49ers are fine with Brandon Ayuk playing on the fifth-year option, Brandon Ayuk did the whole emoji thing. So, again, that's the thing. Does Brandon Ayuk deserve to play next season on a contract that's lesser in value than Jerry Jeudy? Absolutely not. That to me is ridiculous, and it should be ridiculous to any other fan base or any other fans or anyone who covers this team, to be honest, because that's ridiculous. Now, it's a phenomenal value for the 49ers, but if you're Brandon Aiyuk's perspective, Brandon Aiyuk's camp, you're getting that's not good. That's not good. Jerry Jeudy? Who? No, can't do that. So we'll see how this thing progresses. Again, there's a lot of time. There's a lot of posturing left to be done, and we'll see what the outcomes ultimately are. But at the end of the day, it's going to be fascinating. Kyle Shanahan also talked about the potential of adding a starting caliber safety. On top of that, he also talked about Talanoa Hufanga being ready around training camp. I don't think he gave a definitive time. I think he just tried to give some form of a timeline. Again, I would say one of the trends that I've followed with Kyle Shanahan is he's not going to give you the best like target date. He's going to take that target date, what they want the players to return. He's going to tackle on 3-4 weeks. Just so one, reporters can't come back in 3 months from now and say, well, you said he'd be ready at the start of training camp. And those different types of things. He did a similar thing with Brock Purdy, saying he could be available week 1 through 3. That got the whole, 49ers space buzzing because it went from, oh, we think Brock's going to be ready at the start of training camp, which is what John Lynch said. And then Kyle Shanahan the next day says, maybe weeks 1 through 3, Brock will be back, and completely flip the conversation, the talking points, and the narrative surrounding the quarterback position last year. So my take is take Kyle's injury projections with a grain of salt. If he's saying that Talanoa Hufanga could return sometime during training camp, my expectation he'll be ready for training camp. But we'll have to continue to see and watch it all play out and just let it play out for itself. But he does say that he is not, he could absolutely, be back by then. We'll see. He also talked about not having first round pick, what that was all like. And I do think there's a scenario here where the 49ers are very excited about having a first-round draft pick and what they can do with the first-round draft pick and the flexibility that they have now with the 10 picks and what they can do moving up and down the draft board. So it'll be interesting. But, I don't think there's a crazy amount to take away from these owners' meetings, other than the fact that we just get to hear these guys kind of respond and react to these things outside of that part of the course. But you guys let me know what you think of Kyle Shanahan, Brandon Aiyuk, John Lynch, all these different types of things. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.